welcome to the stage, Head of Creative from Fanatic, Igor Gavrilin.
The Brusnika effect. I know what you're probably asking. What the hell is Brusnika? Let me tell you that. And first, let me introduce to you the magical, fascinating world of Russian real estate market. Looks pretty bright, doesn't it? In our case, I think in the case file that we sent, half of the case file was just describing the situation on the market and what it looks like. So it's basically this. Most of the flats, almost all of them, apartments, are bought long before the project, the house is finished, and like years before, because the price of the apartment is 30 or 40% less at that point. And like people, they want to save money, and but then there is this thing which is called Dolgostroy. That's a very funny Russian word, which just means long to build, something that is constructed for too long time. And this is like a thing that you don't want to happen to you when you bought a flat that was not built. It basically means a project that will never be finished. And so like, imagine yourself paying a lot of money and then just finding out several years later that your house will never be finished. There are different reasons for that, economical and, and not very nice people owning construction companies also. But people are really afraid of that, and there's a lot of material that you can look up, and you can like see articles like how to avoid Dolgostroy and stuff like that. It's a whole science. And so what people really like on the real estate market, like what the consumers look for, are these fascinating things. These three brands are like the top 3 brands that I found when I Googled Russian construction company. And just to give you an idea, so like when you try and translate the first name, it basically translates into Leningrad Specialized Construction and Assembling Administration. Amazing name, isn't it? The second one is Siberian Academic Construction Company. And the third one, and I'm not joking, Atomic Construction Complex. Whoa. Well, basically what I mean by all of that is that people really, they love a kind of Soviet, big, serious, not fun at all companies. They give them the feeling of like comfort and that everything's gonna be okay, and that this will not end with Dolgostroy. And this is the Russian image of a successful construction company that will not cheat you. So our client, oh yes, I'm sorry, yes, I forgot. This is basically what the communication looks like on the Russian real estate market. It's basically a picture of a house, which is probably not built, it's a 3D, and price, and plus the area of the city where the house is going to stand, and that's it. Just because Russians, the expression that you can consider your life complete if you plant a tree, build a house, and give birth to a child. Well, in Russia, it's a lot simpler than that. You just buy a flat, and your life is complete. You're invested successfully. That's what they say, and that's why construction companies are not really into creative advertising. They just, okay, here's a house, you can buy it. And so here's where our client appears. Brusnika, this is the amazing logo and the original Russian way to write it. So it was like when we met them, we were fascinated because these people are the opposite of what you would expect from a construction company. So what they did was every project that they build, they tried to improve the zoning and the planning of the apartments and the zoning of the yards and stuff like that. And compared to those old gloomy Soviet kind of companies. When they construct their houses, and when you go there and like try to look at it, it seems like they do not build those houses for people to live in. It feels like they just spend the material, like take up some space, and if somebody will not be very happy, that's fine. Nobody cares. These guys, like every project that they start, they like really try to improve, and it was like sincere, which was fascinating to us. Well, welcome to Russia. What can I say? Yes, innovative features. What we again, this is another thing. Like they always try to invent things. Like for example, this picture illustrates like to us, it was again like something incredible. They built, for example, one thing that's really convenient in the on the ground floor of the house. They built a special room for bicycles and what do you call these things where you put babies in? Yes, thank you. Those things. So they built this special room for for people to put these things there, and not having to carry them to their flats. So like basically what I mean is that they're constantly innovating, coming up with new features for their projects. And those people were really, well, I guess you understood that from what I said. They are really maniacs. Like, for example, we traveled, they have projects in 4 cities of Russia. We traveled to 2 of them, and we live in the 3rd one. And and we talked to a lot of people who work in Brusnika. One guy, he told us a fascinating story about how he employed a special company, special design company, to design a trash bin that was in the yard. And he told us that he made them do 7 iterations of the design of a trash bin for a yard in the house. And like because he wanted to make this like a perfect trash bin. And we said, okay, yes, nice approach. Yeah, and that's why we like really felt that these people are maniacs at what they're doing, and they are amazing. So when they asked us to like formulate, and we needed to formulate the sort of the brand essence for Brusnika for our client, it sounded like this: ingenuity in everything. So basically, everything they do, they try to innovate, they try to like make a new version of that. And but like to the outside world, Brusnika looked a little bit different. And so I will try to list you some facts and how those facts translate into like what people think about the company. So Brusnika means a berry, lingonberry. Like, well, we could not find the origin of the name. We tried hard. Nobody knows why it's called Brusnika, but anyway, it's lingonberry, and it translates that this name is not a nice name for a construction company. People don't like names like that for a construction company in Russia. Well, I think you got the idea from all of those atomic complexes, whatever. They are 5 years old, and this is just too young. This is you cannot have like a construction company that is 5 years old in Russia. That is like, people do not trust that. You should be like, I don't know, from 30 to probably like 50, and that's fine. 5 years, no. So far they have 11 completed projects in 4 cities. Well, you are too unexperienced for the Russian audience. So yeah, this is the research that we saw before we started our work. So the level of trust, basically, for the main competitor was 33%. For Brusnika, it was 2%. Nice. The level of perceived quality for the main competitor was 20%, with market average 16%. For Brusnika, 5%. So this is what we had when we started to work. And the task was pretty simple. We had to change the perception of the brand, and I like this phrase, it rhymes, destroy the fear of Dolgastroy. I'm proud of this phrase. And yeah, basically to show the strength of the brand, what we dug up during our research, to make people see all of those strong sides. So what we did, we had a hypothesis. This ingenuity in everything that we saw in the company, in the brand, it has to have some effect on people's lives. I mean, you cannot just innovate, and then have people just, the same kind of feelings that they have for a regular house built by atomic complex something. And so this was our hypothesis, and we wanted to confirm it, to check it, to see if that was true. So what we did is we asked not a marketing research company, but a sociology research company, I guess you would call it in English. It was called Eurasian Sociology Research Company. That's a pretty Soviet kind of name. You can trust them. Very trustworthy name. Yeah. So and they led this research. They went into the Brusnika project. They asked people what changed in their lives since they moved into these projects, and we were really happy to find out that our hypothesis basically was confirmed. So these figures here, well, just 3 examples. 39% started to communicate more with their neighbors, which is for Russia, where people either have close friendships or they are enemies to each other. Like just talking to their neighbors, that's a big deal. 86% started to feel safer and more secure in their homes, in their neighborhoods, which is also really fascinating for Russia, especially for non-capital cities. And 93% felt basically just overall happier after they moved to a Brusnika project. And there were a lot of results like that, smaller, bigger, and more significant, less significant. And we saw that, well, basically Brusnika does have some effect on people's lives, and we called it the Brusnika effect. So what we did is we tried to translate it into advertising campaign, and we started with a website where so what we did, we took small moments of people's lives, for example, morning exercises or a game in the yard, and then we tried to connect those moments to several innovations that Brusnika created. So, for example, when you take this morning bit, we say that the windows are engineered in a way that the flat receives more sunshine and there is more circulation of air, so you feel fresher in your flat, basically. And so what we try to do is to connect those positive moments of the day with some innovations that Brusnika had in their project. Then the first flight of advertising campaign was really simple. We just took the results of the research, which were pretty impressive, and we just put them on the billboards, and with a link to the website who had more information about it. And it had a huge effect, leading to a lot of publications in press, and sometimes even discussions about how design and architecture can basically affect the lives of people, and then The second flight of the campaign was even more focused. Like during the research, we not only we gathered this, quantitative, like huge, like pieces of data, but we also heard a lot of personal stories. Like, for example, like Mikhail and Maria, they opened a shop with healthy food in their own house, and some people had new hobbies after they moved to Brusnika, and there were a lot of personal stories like that. And we decided, why not translate that into advertising? So we did that. It was published on billboards. It was in a lot of social media publications. So it was basically in all of the channels that were available for us. And finally, the results. So the campaign that started in July was spontaneous awareness. I'm not sure I'm translating all of the statistical, sociological research terms from Russian into English correctly, but okay, I'm trying my best. Spontaneous awareness rose up from 4% in the beginning of the campaign to 14%. In the target group, 25 to 35, the spontaneous awareness reached 16%. And one of the the best results that we had of this, people who compared to people who did not see the campaign, the people who saw the campaign recommended Brusnika. 17% of them recommended Brusnika versus 7% those who did not see the campaign. I hope that made sense to you. Thank you very much. Спасибо большое. This was the Brusnika effect. Thank you.